night pressed heavy on the Appalachian forest, the kind of stillness that seemed to smother even the crickets. 5 tents stood in a loose circle, their nylon walls glowing faintly with moonlight. The hikers had walked 20 miles that day and collapsed into sleep, every muscle weighted with exhaustion. But Sarah stirred. Her eyelids fluttered. She wasn't sure what had woken her until she heard it. Soft, lilting, the unmistakable cadence of children singing. 5 in the woods, the well will call. The words threaded through her half-dream like needles, pulling her awake. She sat up, heart hammering. The others breathed steadily, lost in sleep. No one reacted. Her throat tightened. "Hello?" she whispered. But the sound of her own voice made her flinch. She unzipped the flap, poked her head into the night. Silver light spilled over the clearing, illuminating something that hadn't been there when they pitched camp. A circle of stone, moss-slick and ancient, yawned open in the earth not 30 feet away. A well, its darkness gaped like a wound. Sarah's legs moved before she could stop them, drawn by the melody seeping from the pit. 5 in the woods, the well will call. The words rose again, clearer, closer, though no mouth sang them. She staggered to the edge, peering into the abyss. No bottom, no water, only blackness that seemed to breathe. Her lips parted, trembling, as if she might answer. And then, as if the ground itself had swallowed her, Sarah was gone. No scream, no trace, only the empty clearing and the silent tents behind her. Dawn crept through the trees with thin, gray light. Birds trilled, a woodpecker hammered in the distance, and the forest seemed so alive that for a moment the night silence felt like a lie. But Sarah's tent sagged emptily. Her sleeping bag lay crumpled, cold to the touch. "Sarah," Alex called, knocking on the nylon as if she might still be curled inside. No answer. Jenna rubbed her arms against the chill. Maybe she went to, find a spot. She would have taken her boots, Alex said. The shoes sat neatly by the tent flap, laces untied. They searched the clearing, voices rising with each unanswered shout. No broken branches, no trail of footprints. Just emptiness. Then Mike's voice cut through the panic. "Jesus Christ." They turned. He stood stiff as stone, pointing. The well was there. It crouched at the edge of the clearing, damp stones glistening in the early light, weeds curled over its lip. It hadn't been there the night before. Every one of them swore it. Jenna clutched Alex's arm. It wasn't here. "I swear to God," Alex swallowed hard. "Old Settler's well," he muttered, but his voice was hollow. "She probably wandered off. Let's not jump to conclusions." Mike picked up a stick and hurled it into the blackness. They leaned forward, listening for the thud of impact. Nothing. The silence stretched so long it became unbearable. Jenna whispered, "Where did it go?" No one answered. The well gaped open, its darkness deeper than shadow, as though it were waiting. The second night was worse. The forest no longer felt like wilderness, it felt like a cage. Every creak of branches, every gust of wind sounded like breath against the skin. They built the fire higher than before, though no one admitted they were afraid of the dark. Alex tried to hold them together. He spoke in calm, measured tones, insisting Sarah had simply wandered off. But the words rang false. Jenna barely touched her food. Mike stared at the flames, jaw tight, knuckles white around his knees. When the others finally drifted into uneasy sleep, Jenna lay awake. Her eyes burned, fixed on the silhouette of the trees. That was when she heard it. A child's sing-song voice, faint but sharp as glass. 4 will wake, 1 will fall. Her blood froze. She sat up quickly, heart pounding against her ribs. "Alex," she whispered, desperate. But his breathing was steady, deep. He heard nothing. None of them did. The voice came again, closer now, threading through the night like it belonged there. 4 will wake, 1 will fall. Her body moved without thought. She pushed out of the tent, bare feet sinking into the damp grass. The forest glowed faintly under the moon, and there, only yards away, the well waited. Its stones were slick, its mouth black and bottomless. "No," she murmured, shaking her head, tears streaking her face. "Please, no." But the melody pressed against her mind, soft, coaxing, impossible to resist. 4 will wake, 1 will fall. She took a step, then another, until the rim of stone was beneath her palms. Her eyes widened, reflecting nothing but the dark below. And then, silence. By morning, panic had settled into every movement. 3 remained: Alex, Mike, and Daniel. They avoided one another's eyes, speaking in clipped fragments as they packed. The silence between words carried more weight than anything they said. Jenna's boots still sat by her tent, her jacket, her pack, everything untouched, as if she had stepped out for a moment and never returned. Mike snapped first. "This isn't normal," he spat, his voice hoarse. "People don't just vanish without a sound. Something's happening in this forest, and it's not..." He broke off, glaring at the well squatting in the clearing like a predator. Alex bristled. "Enough. We're moving out. We stick to the trail. We keep walking until we hit the road. That's it. No more talking about this," but Daniel's voice trembled. "And if it follows us? Did you even look around last night? The trees don't look the same anymore. It's like we're circling back." The argument fizzled into silence. None of them admitted what they feared, that the forest was bending around them, funneling them always toward the same destination. That night, sleep came slowly, uneasily. The fire popped and cracked, throwing sparks into the dark. Alex kept watch first, his eyes hollow and raw with exhaustion. When at last he dozed, it was Daniel who stirred. His breath caught in his throat as a sound curled up from the black mouth of the well. 3 will roam, 1 will stay. He pressed his palms against his ears, shaking his head violently. No, 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 no. But the melody pierced through bone and blood, relentless. Mike and Alex slept on, deaf to it all. Daniel stumbled toward the trees, as if distance could break the spell. But his steps only curved back to the clearing, to the well. 3 will roam, 1 will stay. The chant wound around his body like rope, dragging him forward. His fingernails scraped stone as he leaned over the rim, a strangled cry caught in his throat. And then the cry was gone. Daniel was gone. The clearing fell silent. The fire hissed low, and only 2 hikers remained. Only 2 remained. Mike and Alex sat opposite one another by the fire, its light carving hollows into their faces. Neither spoke. The silence between them was heavier than words, an unspoken acknowledgement that something had claimed the others, something they couldn't fight. Hours dragged like stones. Then it began. A child's sing-song voice rose from the dark. 2 will fear, 1 will fall. Mike stiffened. His eyes widened, wild. "Alex," he whispered, "please tell me you hear it." Alex shook his head. "Hear what?" Mike lurched to his feet, swaying as though strings pulled him toward the well. His lips trembled, repeating the words under his breath. Alex shot up and grabbed his arm. "No, don't you dare!" Mike thrashed, desperation in his face. "Let me go." "I can't. Don't you understand? I have to." The melody coiled tighter around him, his body jerking forward. Alex locked both arms around his shoulders, dragging him back. For an instant, it seemed Alex might succeed, until Mike's fist crashed into his jaw. Pain burst white across Alex's vision. He stumbled, fell hard onto the earth, the world tilting sideways. Through the blur of dizziness, he saw Mike climbing onto the rim of the well, his silhouette black against the stars. 2 will fear, 1 will fall. And then Mike leaned forward, stepping into the abyss. Darkness swelled, and Alex's consciousness broke apart. Alex woke in the dirt, his jaw aching, the sky pale with early light. For a few disoriented moments, he thought he was still dreaming. Then he saw Mike's empty boots by the fire pit and remembered everything. The well crouched at the edge of the clearing, black and still. Something inside him snapped. He lurched to his feet and ran. No pack, no food, not even his boots, just raw instinct driving him forward. Branches whipped across his arms and tore at his shirt. Thorns raked his skin, roots snagged his ankles, sending him stumbling, but he forced himself onward. The forest blurred into endless green and gray. He had no sense of direction, no thought of trails or maps, only the desperate belief that if he moved fast enough, far enough, he could escape the circle tightening around him. Minutes bled into hours. His lungs burned, his throat scraped raw with gasps. At last his legs buckled and he collapsed onto the damp ground. He lay there trembling, clutching fistfuls of leaves, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. Slowly, he lifted his head. The clearing stretched before him. The fire pit smoldered faintly, and at the center, waiting in perfect silence, was the well. Alex sat slumped against the cold earth, exhaustion hollowing his chest. His eyelids fluttered, but he did not sleep. Then it came. 1 alone. The well will take. The rhyme slithered up from the stones, and his body lurched as if pulled by invisible hands. His legs trembled, ready to rise, to walk into the dark. A sound broke from his throat, rough and weak, but alive. 1 alone was still awake. The pull faltered. The pressure slackened. For a moment, the clearing held its breath. Then the voice returned, sharper, insistent. "None to wander, none to tell." His skull rang with the words. His body jerked toward the rim, steps dragging across the soil. But he forced his jaw open, teeth grinding blood from his gums. "Still I breathe, and still I dwell." Pain burst behind his eyes. A warm trickle slid from his nose. His vision swam, his chest crushed by unseen weight. The well answered again, louder, closer. "All are gone, inside the well." His knees buckled. A copper taste filled his mouth. Every heartbeat hammered against his skull, threatening to split it. Yet he screamed his reply, voice ragged, blood flecking his lips. "I remain, alive, rebel." The clearing convulsed. A white light erupted from the well, blinding, searing. The trees bent back in the blast. A roar tore through the forest, so loud it stripped thought away. Alex's body crumpled, his mind shattered into darkness. When silence fell, the clearing was empty. The well was gone. Epilogue. Weeks later, in the mountain town at the base of the ridge, dawn broke gray and cold. From the tree line, a figure emerged. He was barefoot, clothes in tatters, his skin smeared with dirt. His hair had turned the color of bone, his eyes clouded and blind. Each step was heavy, as if the ground itself resisted him. It was Alex. He staggered down the empty street, lips moving in silence. Some swore he was reciting a rhyme, though no sound reached their ears. Others said he wasn't speaking at all, only shaping words out of habit, as if his mouth remembered what his mind could not. Behind him, the forest loomed. No one followed him out, and none dared ask what he had seen. The well was gone. Of that much, Alex's return was proof. But in the hush of the woods, hunters and woodcutters later claimed the silence felt wrong. Dense, watchful, as if something still lingered, waiting for another voice to answer. If this story unsettled you, leave a like and let the shadows know. Subscribe for more tales you shouldn't hear after dark. And if you've seen something you can't explain, tell us in the comments. We're always listening.